This is a clip from Beyond Classified. You can access the entire episode now at rockfin.com/FKN plus. Well, you said the crocodile head. Scott has also, I don't know if he's seen it, but he has talked to witnesses that have seen a crocodile man in the swamp, a lizard man, various different reptilian humanoid creatures that slither in the bayous and swamps. And man, whenever you look at all the accounts of this high strangeness, it seems like, okay, so you think of the possibility if we are some kind of larva. Well, we're definitely something that is far more inferior to the abilities that whatever these beings are, even the seemingly some of the most primitive, like big man or Bigfoot or dog man, have some incredible consciousness abilities if they are what they appear to be. And if people are really having these experiences, well, Scott's experiences, this kind of goes to what if there's something incredibly more to all of this and it's all connected and we're just subjects to extreme high intelligences that are interdimensional beings just beyond the spectrum of our vision that can do whatever they want with us at their will. Scott starts having missing time experiences. He starts waking up and having these insane memories of being led through catacombs, and he would look to his right and he'd see a 7 or 8 foot tall insectoid being, what he would describe as a praying mantis. And then he would look to the other side and it would be a 7-8 tall classic gray extraterrestrial leading him somewhere into this deep cave or catacomb. And towards the end of the catacomb, there was a massive Bigfoot waiting for them to open a door. And when he gets in there, he says he has memories of being downloaded or taught to what he can only describe as fight in these astral or dreamlike states. And he'd have a bunch of missing time, and then he'd wake up the next morning and have these memories of these creatures. So there could be something too that we are at the beckoning hands of whatever these things are, or this grand intelligence possibly.
I'm trying to find here the excerpt where he talks about it being another form of, oh, right here, I found it. So, such is the fate peculiar to adepts who, nurturing their animal propensities while in the abyss, assume the form of beasts. So when they're doing this crossing of the abyss, right, this shadow work or whatever you want to call it, and they're in these other dimensions. Crowley did this. Yeah, Parsons did this. All the greatest occultists did this. And he calls it here, this is the origin of the magical lycanthrope and similar occult phenomena. So what if these entities are these people, right, that maybe are possessed by something else? Because another one, something else of my research that kind of, and I had sent the screenshot to Tony. I had texted him one day, and I'm supposed to be going on the confessionals sometime, like whenever, right? It's going to happen. But I had sent him something that one of my listeners pointed out on an episode that I did on A Voyage to Cartesius, where it was about pretty much, it's talked about René Descartes. It was a book that we found from the 1600s that talked about René Descartes and his technology that he was able to transmit his consciousness and project his consciousness into these other worlds, right? Quite literally. And they were able to do their own thing in these astral realms and all this stuff. But one of the things was that relates to that secret book, where whenever they would ask him, hey, where's our friend? He's like, hey, he'll be right back. He's somewhere else. He's not here right now. Well, in this book, the Voyage to the World of Cartesius, from 1694, written by this weird guy with 2 first names that we can't really find any information on. They talk about that when you are in the astral realm, when you project your consciousness after inhaling this concoction of tobacco and what we've came to the conclusion DMT or something, and you project your consciousness, you are assigned, or you bring forth a watcher. Now, the watchers is a term that a lot of people use in the biblical sense, right? The watchers. I've heard that the watchers they're watching the divine alchemist or the divine architect, the master mason, whatever you want to call it, however Freemasonic you want to get. They're watching him create and unravel reality real time, right? And then I've also heard of the watchers, like in the Picatrix grimoire sense, that it's the watchers that watch over your body while your consciousness is in another realm. And in this particular book, they describe this watcher as a black humanoid, they called it a small Moor looking person, right? So we call it the black homunculi, that literally takes over your body and is able to do just the bare minimum, right? Just the bare minimum. Wash your mouth, it'll brush your teeth, it'll have you eat, just to keep this vessel, this shell, this husk alive while you're in this other realm. But
I think we got a lot of people that are inhabited by that anyway right now.
So, well, that one of the rules that you're not supposed to break when you're out of your body is that NPC or whatever it is cannot have deep conversations. One of the things you can't do with it is have a deep conversation. So when you start to have a deep conversation with it, it'll like loop out and it's like, hey, I can't compute. So there's I don't know if you've seen the show Peripheral on Amazon Prime. It's kind of sort of like this. It's like a world aligned with our world. And then when the people are in the real world that we perceive now, in the other world, they're taken over by what they call a thumb or something like that. And again, it's this automatous thing that takes over, and it'll just sit there and eat and do the bare minimum for the person. But here's the crazy part, bro. That sometimes when you call forth this watcher, and you go and you project your consciousness out and you come back to get back in your body, sometimes that black little homunculus goes, I'm not getting out.
Yeah.
This is mine now. And your soul or whatever it is stuck out in this other, I think that's what space is, bro. I think that's what space isn't what they've told us it really is. I think that space, and the reason that the concept exists is because of these occultists, bro. Because space represents something for them that's like unattainable, and I think it represents the layers of reality which you're able to comprehend, conceive, and understand. Because if we think about the Gnostics, how they believe that every celestial orbit was a different dimension of a different demon, they were wiped out, bro. They were killed, right? And they were never talked about ever again, right? Christianity, as we know it today, pick the 44,000 denominations. Pick whatever one you want to go with. But again, these concepts, when you start to put them together, you go, okay, something's going on here. But when I think of the story of Tony Merkel, where they're like, oh, hey, your friend's not here right now, he'll be back. Well, what if that was like this little black homunculus that's in the driver's seat, like in Men in Black, or when his face opens up and it's like a little alien? Well, what if that was what was in the vessel, essentially, right? Yeah. As his friend was in this other realm, this watery lake that we see in like shows like Stranger Things or something like that.
Man, I don't know. That's crazy, dude. I tell you what, though, recently I've come across some information. I'm having a guest on in a couple of, I think it was next month. Have you heard of Robert Guffey in the book Chameleon?
Yes, I have, actually. Yes.
Okay. So shit like that. I'll briefly kind of describe what happened. It's about a heroin addict that supposedly stole, or he was accused of stealing, highly advanced military industrial, some kind of goggles. Okay. So he became the subject of illegal, dark surveillance and harassment from these shadowy groups, 3 letters and beyond, trying to get him to either get back the goggles or admit. Well, keep in mind, this takes place in the 90s. Okay. And this dude starts experiencing things like paranormal activity in his house, but he also starts seeing like things moving. Like I was telling you, in Scott's house, he would see the shimmery things, and he would hear disembodied voices. Well, it turns out that these groups were like beaming in frequencies into his house to make him hallucinate. They were making him see like planets and things outside of his windows that weren't there, making him hear voices. They were even going as far as making him hallucinate abduction experiences and alien contact experiences and all this elaborate stuff. They'd send in advanced drones to his house to look like UFOs going around the outside of his house, just driving him insane. And he had the confirmation for many times that these people were doing this, because they'd periodically check in with him and be like, okay, are you ready to give up this information yet? Are you ready to come clean? Are you ready to give us our shit back? And he'd be like, no, I know what you guys are doing. I never did anything. So very interesting book, Camelio. Robert Guffey's coming on in I think next month to talk about it. But that makes me think of how much of the high strange shit that we interact with could be some sort of black project. If they had that kind of advanced technology in the 90s to be able to cause someone to believe that type of thing was happening, and if they wanted to do that nowadays, how advanced is that stuff? How much of what people are experiencing as UFO and contact experiences is really unexplained or otherworldly or non-human? Could it be us just trying to fuck with people? Is it us trying to establish a UFO narrative globally? I mean, what's happening now within the mainstream everywhere? They're pushing UFOs and saying that aliens are real and getting this into the mass consciousness. Well, could it be some sort of mass black operation? That's what a lot of the subject of a lot of MK Ultra experiments were, to get people to have delusions that they've had grand experiences that didn't really happen, and cause all kinds of hallucinations up into including paranormal activity and psychosis. I don't know, man. That just makes me think, and it makes me, I would think that is more disturbing than actual real paranormal activity to me.